What's up? It's your boy, Bobby Sapphire. It's 6 in the dang morning, and we're podcasting for the community for free. Here are my squad. Justin, how are you doing this lovely, lovely morning?
I got back from Les Miserables at 1:15 last night, this morning,
Long
this
show.
same day.
Jean Valjean.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a future pod where we cast as musicals. We can talk about them in a musical style.
Nice.
Ooh, that'd be hot.
Let's go. And fresh off his dominating appearance on on Late Night Gaming, it's KTOD Maddie.
Yeah, I am. Spoiler alert, I'm undefeated in webcam games, and I hope to keep it that way. I had a great time. And yeah, today's going to be a tough one. I took Mike's advice. I didn't stay up too late like a good boy. So I'm feeling all right, but I have a long day ahead.
I
with
had to
two
jump in the
big
chat
parties.
and tell them to let you go early
Yeah.
in case
The
they
good thing
started
is, like,
giving you crap.
Yeah. It's what really gets me in trouble. Like, if we were having a couple drinks, then I would have been like, oh yeah, like let's stay up. But I didn't have any beers, so I kept my wits about me, and I got out.
Yeah, I was worried they were gonna start buying you shots, like drone them in, and
Oh
then
my
then it would
God.
have been all over. You wouldn't have got home at all. You'd still be
It
up.
would have been like
I don't know
the
how I'm
Gen
still
Con
in
meetup.
Indianapolis, guys. Like
I
that
was
is a
gonna say
miracle.
it.
Yeah.
I was
And then
thinking about that yesterday, actually, when the comment, "Oh, you don't need to buy booze for the Airbnb. I'm not going to drink much on the trip."
yeah, that should be a T-shirt actually.
Oh, we should get that meme.
Yeah,
Yes.
we should get that T-shirt. And then Stevie gets down there chasing my sick Plat 1 rank in TFT while we pod.
Yeah, just wrapping up early morning grind. It's 6 a.m., baby. I've been up for 2 hours. We got to get this cracking.
I know you're nuts.
No caffeine either. I am just like strictly on energy right now.
Just vibing with TFT.
Vibing.
Yeah, it's just pre-workout.
Yeah.
No, pre-workouts after the pod because I don't want to take it too early before I go to the gym.
You'll scare everyone off.
All right. Well, I realize now I never changed the list on this slide
I
of what we're
I
talking about
just
today.
realized that. I said, wait, Gen Con's coming up. I can't wait to go.
All right, hold
Ooh.
on.
Let's go. Relive it.
Actually, that's fine. Who cares? The people listening, we don't have to go talk about it. But today we're going to talk about the meta and, I don't know, just Patreon questions, our giveaway, which I hope you guys figured out. And yeah, let's just jump right into it. The first thing we're talking about today is Maddie launched his own YouTube channel to do more swoop content. Why don't you talk about that for a minute, Matt?
Yeah, so I thought it'd be a good opportunity to kind of like I have all these, I'm like driving in the car, shower thoughts, and I kind of just want to like get them out somewhere and like, interact with people in a new way. So I wanted to launch another channel where it's like a lot more just like, less production, more just the Maddie you all know and love, talking head videos, kind of some fun content around, just stuff that maybe like wouldn't rise to the level that we would do here. Not that we're the most, production quality. Yeah, we do good. But yeah, so it's just like a way to have another access to me and just kind of riff and have a good time and see me as Bill Belichick.
You could also like see yourself as LeBron. Like KTOD Maddie is taking his talents to KTOD Maddie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could
where he's
like
going.
really jump into a persona of like I'm becoming these people with each one.
That'd be pretty good. I'll have Symbiote put my face. Every thumbnail has to be Sim putting my head on something, I think.
Yeah, like there's so many. There's LeBron. You could do the Will Smith Fresh Prince like empty house like last episode where like the KTOD house. You're just like walking out.
You could also do the Uncle Phil when he like walks in from all the different rooms after when he's mad he like leaves but then he comes in another room. That's still always like one of my favorites.
Oh my God, there's so much that we could
so
And
do.
funny
another
that-
thing, you could definitely do that with some fun editing. And you have like
You
a house where like you have a bunch of entrances and exits in the main room, so you could definitely pull that
you
off.
could do the Zach Morris hugging the girl when she's got like the medication addiction, and
Oh,
Maddie could be
caffeine
like,
addiction.
I'm making
Yeah.
so many YouTubes.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
girl.
Oh, is that your crush? What's the curly hair? She's in the
Girl,
dancing
what was her?
movies.
Elizabeth Berkley.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, Elizabeth
Adderall.
Berkley. Yeah.
Oh, what the hell's her
Yeah,
name in the
that was
show?
pretty
It's been
well.
That's like a
while since
famous
5 a.m.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah,
Jesse.
for
Oh,
sure.
Jesse.
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 Watch
Yep.
Saved by the
But
Bell
yeah.
like 8,000 times. All right,
Yep.
I have a serious question though. Why, like, what? I know you've read a lot about like YouTubing and stuff. What made you do this as a YouTube channel and not like a KTOD social media account where you could like just do Instagram Reels or TikToks or whatever?
I'm not very high on Instagram, and I don't know how to use TikTok. But like I think YouTube, and I'm a little biased, is like the best social media that you can be doing, and I think it's fun. So like I wanted to be doing it in that regard because like I mean they're not like they're 10 like that video is like 10 12 minutes. Like it's hard for me to even edit myself down to do a YouTube short, right? So I thought the kind of content that I want to do, I think it made most sense on YouTube. It's a good way for people to like stay integrated to like our channel as well. Like I think that there's going to be a lot of back and forth there. So I thought YouTube was like the best way to do it. Plus I love
For
When's the
for those
OnlyFans coming out?
the OnlyFans shows becoming interesting. Instagram is certainly listening to me.
I love that.
it popped right up.
It's right there.
But yeah, if you I mean, I'm pretty proud of that video. I had like I was doing a video that's gonna pop on our channel, the deck selection one, and that's when it kind of dawned on me like I wanted to do more of this stuff, and like there's just not gonna be enough time to release it on the KTOD page itself. So yeah, wanted to kind of give some more access to your old Maddie.
Sweet. And then, as we announced on our last podcast, the post Gen Con podcast, we do have this insane swag bag with a super rare mat, the content creator mats, proving to be, you know, some of the hardest to get as I quest to try and get an It Binds All Things mat. I did find someone who agreed to sell it, but then hasn't returned my DM. So I'm hoping today we can get that sorted out. But we're gonna give this. It's 6 packs of sleeves, all 6 sleeves from the Set 2 run, and I love the colors, the yellow and green on the lightsaber sleeves. The soft crate, yep, and then the tote bag, because why not? And then the armorer mat, which Maddie has hanging there. And so the way we're gonna do this is on September 1st. I'm gonna put every single one of our paid subscribers into the random name generator, the wheel of names, and we're gonna pick one. It needs to be something I can generate through Excel because it's gonna be a ton of people, and that's it. But I had to type out 1,000 names or whatever. But
thanks.
Go ahead, Justin.
And sorry to other content creators, you guys are exempt from this. We will not be including you, so you can get a second mat to eBay. I'm keeping all my stuff, and I'm super excited to give this one out. We actually were given an extra one, if you remember from last pod. This is the mat that I'll be playing with at all the events this fall. Like I think this mat really, really pops.
Yeah, the mat's sick. I played with it at Gen Con on
So
Sunday,
insane.
and it was sick. But I wasn't gonna mention this, but I got so excited when I came. But these guys know I've been doing a little side quest for the mats, and this might be my forever mat.
Dude,
this mat is so crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah, I can't believe I was able to find. Shout out to Bud Heavy in the Discord who got that for me. What a baller! I also got this one, which is
that's
hot.
a tough.
Oh, that one's sick.
Yeah,
Bad Batch.
They used to be 20 pounds ago. That was my drink of choice.
Oh, that one's sick too. Heroic.
That one.
That's one of my favorite. I still love the
Well, you guys can use these anytime you want.
The Maximum Fire one's unreal.
Which one do you still need, Mike?
I still need the Overwhelming Barrage, which we only know of like 3 in existence, but I've got a couple leads. That's the one where I'm gonna have to sell a kidney, and then of course the Finalizer. But the It Binds one, I think I'm gonna be able to get after thinking I might not be able to. So yeah, well, this one's just so hot.
Hey, friends over at FFG and Asmode, if you're watching, DM Mike, help him get an Overwhelming Barrage.
Yeah, I might hit up. Yeah, I don't want to say my strategies because it's going to be heavily sought after. So, but yeah, so if you want to become and honestly, if you've ever been thinking about, hey, let me check out the KTOD Discord, you think of it as like a $5 raffle ticket to get this. There's 1,000 people in there. There's probably like 300 of them are content creators, so you don't have to worry about that. And then, yeah, take the shot. And if you don't like it, you can
you ain't gonna be going anywhere.
you can leave if you don't like it.
Quick question.
Yeah,
Where did they release the maximum firepower?
TwitchCon.
Jesus.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
no
which is
events.
like-
It was just like it was sort of like San Diego Comic-Con with the probably with the
those
choose
boxes.
sides
Oh,
mat.
right.
It's just like show up, play a dev, and get a mat.
That's
And
crazy.
that
That's
one, the
wild.
choose sides one you had to pay for. The TwitchCon one, who knows? I haven't found any details about how they got that. So
It's gonna be
I
fun
gotta
to.
say- Oh, you go, Justin.
It's just gonna be fun to see your continued chronicles in this, like getting these ones. But then, like, if there's another one, there's like two mats. If like Worlds is like a mat, like, are you gonna go after that one? I mean, you can just win it, outright. But
yeah,
are
that's
you
the
gonna
thing.
go
Like,
after these things? Is the quest going to continue to get like a Count Dooku mat in the future or whatever it comes out?
yeah, that'll be tough,
I'm-
especially if they do with Destiny. They did the winner of Worlds got a unique mat. So like
Wow.
That should probably be the easiest one for you to acquire.
Ooh,
well,
baby.
the year I lost in the semifinals was like Sabine holding the Darksaber, and I was playing Sabine, and it was so close.
Oh,
It was
it was in your grasp.
Yeah, Ed Chen,
Wow.
the
I was
legend.
just gonna say the unsung hero of that pack is getting so many like non-sponsored, but like the Game Genic sleeves are so insane.
I love
don't know
them.
if
They're
it's 'cause
so
I was
smooth.
using the crappy ones that I bought for
The
stream
no
this whole time,
glare. Yeah.
but like the shuffling on these sleeves is insane. Like I never feel like I'm worried about breaking a card.
And I don't know if you
love
tried
Game
them.
Genic.
I don't know if the Star Wars Game Genic ones are, but the Game Genic also makes a non-glare sleeve, and they feel as good as these.
Alright,
And
so
they're
I
really
gotta buy
nice.
those then.
Yeah, I have a pack if you want, because I got them for streaming. If you want to try them out.
Yeah, I'll try. I'm shuffling.
And here I gave my sleeves to everybody's kids.
Yeah, I've been giving my sleeves out too. I still have a pack of
I was
yellows.
like, what am I gonna do with these?
But you know,
I got a whole stack.
I also have thousands of Sapphire Dragon sleeves, Dragon Shield, so I'm never getting off those anyway.
Oh, real quick, Justin, I was supposed to give you some sleeves, and I think I never did. So I have like a million pairs.
Oh, I don't need them anymore.
Okay.
Steve gave me all his, and
Oh,
I
okay.
think like grabbed another stack too. I literally have just infinite.
All right. Well, if you end up playing like Kylo and you want more Kylo sleeves, we can trade or something.
Nice.
Ooh, yeah.
All right, let's talk about the meta. We had a couple big events this weekend. The weekend of August 17th. I guess it's still that weekend. There's probably some events today too. And the biggest one that we saw was the 60-person tournament in Poland. And the meta breakdown is on this slide. There were 11 Sabine greens, 7 Kira greens, 5 HantoBlues, and 4 boba yellows. Those are like the big meta players right now. I think Maddie did a video, and maybe like 16 other content creators did HantoBlue videos
Yep.
this week. And then we're seeing the rise in that deck. It's very good. I played Maddie's version on Tuesday, and had a really good run at my locals. It felt really good. I think I only dropped like one game to a Sabine.
Yeah, you played the Force Bros version.
Yep.
Very good.
Yeah, I played with
Another
Ray
version
over
did
Poe.
well. Spoiler at
Were
at
there
Atlanta, which
only
we'll talk
two?
about.
Yeah,
were there only 2 Han2 greens?
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna
That's
get to that. Yeah,
wild.
there were
Yeah.
only 2 Han2
Sorry.
greens, and no, you're good. And they finished first and second, which is
quick
crazy.
point, only one red ray. We're really seeing like people just move off that
Mhm.
deck, which I think is kind of I think it's like over. I think it's better than people are giving it credit for. But
Nice.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I understand why though. It doesn't beat Sabine, and the Han can beat Sabine. So like, that's the big issue for me. Is like there were 11 Sabines here, so
Yeah.
you're gonna go play a deck that just loses to Sabine. You can't. Sabine's gonna dominate our decisions for as long as she's in the meta, or the long as she's like in rotation or whatever.
Do you think that it's just the way the list ran? Because like I feel like when it had like main deck moisture farmers and like you have Tarkin Town to like counter the ECL play, like is there like a 60 that you can have, or is it just doesn't, it's not worth it? Because like the Tarkin Town I know it's less health, but that's usually a pretty good way to combat those like Wreck or Poe ECLs.
I don't know. I was gonna play Ray at Gen Con, and I jammed games all morning, and I couldn't win a single one, and I had main deck Moisture Farmers.
Okay.
I'll say this even with the blue Ray that I've been playing, which I'd say is probably even more favored than red blue Ray versus Sabine. You playing the 30-point base is almost like a non-starter. Like anything at 25, it just feels like you're never going to get there against Sabine, at least from the Ray perspective. And I feel like the blue version has more healing and more of a mid-rangey, like rock type deck. But I played a few games with the 25-point base, and like you just get burned on the last turn of the game, or
you just never get into a safe spot.
Yeah.
And with Ray Blue, you get your vigilances online turn 3, which makes it like even a little safer, and it's still not safe.
Yeah. Those are good points.
But yeah, the big story of this event will be that, as Steve caught, there's only two people played the Han 2 green, and both of them made the top cut, and then they finished first and second. Same list. They were friends. I wasn't able to get the list this morning before we potted. I didn't have a lot of time to search. So
if we get it before then, we can link it or something.
Yeah, if you guys are scouring Discord while we do it, it's we can probably get it up there. There's no doubt. So like I think, there were 7 Kiras, 2 of them converted. I think Kira will still be a big player in the meta for sure. It's like the best blue-green control in my opinion. But like Han 2 is certainly in multiple versions is on the rise, and like someone played a yellow version here. And then anytime a list goes 1-2 at an event, a big event, and like for this game, 60's big. Yeah. Like people are just gonna play it. I mean, look at all the Han Blue in just a week. People are gonna be all over this Han 2 green. And then so like buy your Maz Kanadas now. If you traded them away because you thought they were junk, these guys played Maz Han green and went wide.
Oh, wow. I got a Maz over there somewhere. I was gonna grab it, but yeah, I think the Han green is interesting. Like I think people early in the meta are like sometimes like to play it safe, and I think that when people take a risk and play something kind of not out of the box but not as seen and like do well with it, I think now we're gonna see an explosion. I think there's gonna be a lot of Han Blue and Han green.
Yeah, and
it's interesting. So much Han Blue.
It's interesting with the green because like we don't see a list yet. We've talked about it a little bit in our testing team. My 10-year-old son sent us a list like a month and a half ago. I kind of joked it off, but like being able to, and then you look at like the Sabines from like the pre-meta. Remember the Sabines that had like all 1-drops and stuff like that, and kind of got decimated. But with Han, you're able to actually play like good units with that, and also like now it's 2 sets of units. When you think about like all the 3-drops in Sabine that are so good, well, now you can play some of them like on turn 1, and they're like still really good. Like red, you play red 3 on turn 1, and if they don't have an answer to it, now you just have an Anthem that's also attacking for 3, and then you're also spamming a bunch of cards. So like red 3 stands out. Like Poe and Wrecker faster, Gorilla Attack Pod. There's a lot. I mean, really interested to see the list, but there's a lot of like really powerful units that you can spam. I mean, you get 6 Battlefield Marines. You have Battlefield Marine and Cassian that you can do. You can do the droids, R2 and 3PO, Maz. So like you can really spam. And then if you look at that compared to like, Daring Raid never really took off as like meta sort of warping removal. Like it's not Lightning Bolt in that sense. So like, early removal is like Power of the Dark Side takedown in this game, and those cards are not good when your opponent's got like 4 units out.
Yeah.
So like a really aggressive swarm deck is like we're talking about Sabine, and I think like Green Han too is going to sort of fall in a similar role and might be able to like sort of leverage some matchups. And if it's got a good Sabine matchup, and like a good Boba matchup, it's able to like flip this sort of top 3 decks of the meta type thing and have advantages.
Were they aggro lists? Do we know anything about them? Were they aggro based?
I would imagine if they're playing Maz, which I got confirmation that they are, that they would be go wide decks. Okay. They're trying to spam guys. I know just from playing the blue version the other night, there were times when I was like, oh, my opponent only has 1 guy left. I'm going to kill it with whatever's on board, and then I'm going to drop 3 guys. And it was crazy, like, to just drop A-Wing, Battlefield Marine Yoda, it just felt insanely strong to be able to do that on
That's
6
some saucy back
resources.
dropping
Wait,
all
you
three
played
of those.
how do you play A-Wing, Battlefield Marine, and Yoda? Those are
Or
like three
sorry,
colors.
not I was just naming cards, but it's probably
Oh,
Sabine. But sorry, I
Mike's
don't
No, you're
remember.
good.
broke the
I'm
meta.
good.
He's got
I
4
know,
colors.
that's
Four
what I
color
was
deck.
thinking. I was like, that's sauce.
Yeah.
That is
No, but
saucy.
so last night, that's a good point though. Like last night on late night, I took back the game from Loopy in a mirror because I was able to drop multiple guys in a turn. I did like Kanan for 3 and then smuggled a Cassian. And just playing like multiple guys sometimes after you use what's on the board to kind of mop up is huge. So like the going wide and like yeah, okay, you can make an opening Maz right on your second turn, but that's all your resources, and then they just drop 2 more guys, and you're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be
Right.
tough. Now
Yeah.
my
And that's
power
what's
in the
so
dark
frustrating from the controls side of things, right? Like you clear the board and then your opponent plays 2 or 3 more cards, and you have to keep playing your resources, and then you've got like 1 removal spell for their
Mhm.
2 things, and there's not a clean like sort of clean up answer. Like Avenger's way too late. You know, Avenger probably would do it, but it's just too late. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting to see this deck.
Yeah, it's why blue-green control really has been the predominant control list in this game, is because
Yeah, Barrage would do
you need to
that.
have
Yeah, Pure
barrage.
Barrage.
Barrage
ECL,
does it,
the Death
ECL,
Reaper.
and like bigger units, but you need a unit
Mhm.
that trades with 2 things. Like you need to find 2-for-1s, and the
Child
one-for-one event-based control decks are just not going to get there because, like you said, there's just no cheap removal, and we don't. There's no draw. Like there's no good card draw mechanics either. We're not like finding some card that draws 5 in our end step. What was that instant that like gained you life and drew cards? It was like blue, white, X or
Thanks
whatever.
Revelation.
Yeah, there's no
Sphinx's
Sphinx's
Revelation,
Rev
yeah.
to like when they miss a turn, you draw 5 and heal 5, and now you have a handful of gas. There's just like this game doesn't have that. This game barely has card draw.
Yeah.
Right, and the aggro decks have more cards because they're curved into 5 resources, and then they're just drawing and
And then
playing
Yep, and
2
then they're
cards a
fast,
turn.
playing 2
exactly.
cards a turn. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe Bombing Run will make a comeback.
Mm.
Comeback
Yep.
Joinks are
implies
up.
it was ever around.
Yeah,
Well, I was
the
trying to throw
rise
you a
of
bone
Bombing
because
Run.
your high take on Bombing Run.
I was also really low on Bosk, and he ended up being a beast. So when I'm wrong, I have no problem admitting it. It
No,
doesn't
I'm
happen
just trying to throw
often,
shit.
but
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
when
just-
Bosk
I'm
still
just-
has
doesn't
something to
happen.
prove, but I think he's not trash. Like he's an actual meta contender. Is
Yeah,
Bosk?
he's
Nope.
got to show up, but I think he can.
No, 0 Bosks in this event. We had like a Gar. Anything else you want to shout out about this event? You know, we've got a lot to look at. The top cut was a Sabine, Han, 2 blue, 2 green, 2 Han, 2 greens, 2 Kira greens, set 1 Han yellow, and a Hondo.
Which is the only Hondo player. So like it's
The only thing I'd say is we talked a little bit about it on one of the pods where we think about which set 1 heroes we thought would do better with set 2 and possibly set 3, and we talked a little bit about Yellow Han in terms of at some point, and I'm kind of going to lump Red Han in there too. At some point, these decks are just going to be better than the rest because they do something outside the normal game state. Like
Yeah.
they allow you to ramp, they allow you to play an extra resource a turn. So to see the rise of Han 2.0, it's not super surprising, and I think it's a little bit cleaner version of Han 1.0, whereas you don't have to worry about all the resource manipulation. You can just take a couple damage and jam something out there a little quicker. But I think in general, it'll be interesting to see down the line too what type of leaders they create that do things that aren't in the normal, I want to say, rules of the game, for instance.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I
And
think
like,
that's something.
if you break down, you know, we have Han 1, Han 2, and Boba, who all let you play with extra resources on the table. And if you go down this list, 21 out of the 60 are either Han 1, Han 2, or Boba. So like,
Yep.
that's a third of the meta that are using sort of like resource generating leaders to navigate the meta. And then you have like, you know, a smaller amount of damage based guys, Cad, Vader, Palpatine, buff guys like Tarkin, Hondo, and then, you know, aggro guys like Kylo and Sabine who do extra base damage. So I think like maybe we start categorizing leaders like that, and
Yeah,
if
that's a
they
good way to-
do make other guys that give us more resources like Han or Boba, I'm sure they will be good in the meta.
Yeah.
And then you
Makes
have
me
Broken
wonder
Lady.
if Lando will be good at some point because he does. While it's not necessarily that aspect, there is something along those lines with what he does.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I would
And-
imagine.
and-
I've tried to make it work. I need to get back on that train. I think there is something. I don't know if it's ever going to be better than Han, just because his body is so bad when he comes out.
Yeah.
And you can like give him a jetpack, which is sweet, but then then you're not using his ability, and at that point, like, why are you playing him? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a tough push and pull about like he's not really good enough on his own, and you're not able to get enough good stuff out. But I'm sure we can make Lando work. I still think he's good. All right, then we had an Atlanta 1K where a couple of our subs, Mephisto and Symbiote, were giving us the goods. They finished 3-6 in the Swiss, had to play each other in the top 8. And
Team
Mephisto
kill,
won,
hate to
and
see
then and then split in the top 4. But the top 8 of that, I think it ended up being 24 players. Does it say here? No, but anyway,
That sounds right. I think I read that.
the top 8 was a Luke 30-point green, two Han blues, Kira green ECL, a Kira green 30-point base, one Boba yellow that was Mephisto, a Sabine ECL, and a Vader 30-point green. Shout out Vader showing up.
Yeah. Vader and Luke. I don't know if you have the list, but one of the Hans was a 5960 of the Han list from my video. It
Oh,
was
great.
the one with the village
Nice.
protectors.
Oh, nice.
So that was pretty cool. And the only card that was different was in the sideboard. He only owned 2 Crate Dragon, and I had a third in the sideboard, so he just switched it for like Force Surrender. So that was cool to see.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's
this
great.
list.
Look at that.
I
And that's
mean,
our
Luke.
free content helping people
That's the
out.
free content, not the forced content. The Luke 30 is interesting. I haven't seen Luke too much. I actually played it at Gen Con, but it's funny. I won, and then the next day, the guy played Sabine and matted up.
Oh, wow.
Using that
That's
picture, using that
wild.
picture of you guys, Matt, and Mike.
Oh,
But
yeah.
We saw Luke 30-point really show up towards the end of the set 1 meta, or at least for a chunk of the set 1 meta, once people figured out that like the 30-point version could actually beat Boba Green by just
Right.
getting to the late game and being on the home 1 plan, going higher than the Vader plan that Boba Green was doing. But I'm not quite sure how it's navigating the current meta, but I imagine if it's like a bunch of Boba Yellows and like I think Boba Yellow is just like a little bit on the downswing because of the Kira rise. So I think that kind of leads
so
That's a good point.
it's some of these other decks to kind of rise up that
If
would otherwise
Boba-
just get bounced into oblivion.
If
And that's
Boba
what I was
drops,
gonna-
curve decks do better. Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say too. Is like these meta conversations that we're putting out there, like they do matter, right? Because like we're seeing, Kira Green 30. That's something that like we made on a kitchen table, and then Woo's list, and you're not seeing like Iden, right? Like you're not seeing like the old stuff. Like the evolution is happening, and you're seeing the Han Blues from Gen Con. So you've got the Luke invaders that are like sort of older meta decks, but like there's these new things pop up. Like the decks that have been doing well at Gen Con are now your meta. And then, what's your meta after the rise of Han Green or more Han Blue? Like what actually gets on top of that? Like what are we gonna see? Maybe it's some other deck that just is maybe it is a Tarkin Town deck because I'd imagine Tarkin Town's really good against the Han decks. And just seeing like what kind of transpires, it's gonna be fun. But the meta certainly does like sort of twist and turn through the weeks.
Especially like there's all these factors, and I have a video coming out about deck selection. I think it's dropping this week, maybe early next week, depending on our content schedule. But it's about like taking not only like the meta, but then like what event am I playing? Like I'm playing a 24 man
Right.
1K in my local area. Well, that's gonna affect things, and navigating your deck selection based off that is gonna be different than going to a 128 man or a planetary qualifier.
The other thing I wanted to mention or ask you guys is like, how do you feel about splits? I don't know if we've ever talked about splits. These guys split in the top 4. One of them had to be wrong. I kind of gave them crap. I gave Mephisto crap, and then he defended himself. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I mean, you make the decision for you, but someone in that 4 was wrong.
I think it depends. Are all 4 in the top 4 KTOD members?
I don't think they were.
Then in that case, no, never split.
Yeah,
Somebody's
Mephisto's saying he had a
always
bad
wrong on
matchup, but like if he had a bad matchup, then like why isn't his opponent being like the one that says
Mm.
no? Or is it just like, well, 3 guys in this want to split. I don't really want to be the bad guy.
That's
Gotta
generally
go
how
for
I've
the
been
glory.
with like this, pops up sometimes when you'll have like a Magic local, even one that has like an invite to something but has like other prizes associated with it. It's like let's just homogenize it and split everything up and still play for like the invite or what have you. Um, I've always sort of been the guy who just sort of says, "Sure, that's fine."
Whatever
I
everyone
don't
else
like to be
wants.
the bad guy. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
if
like
there's
the
something
idea
else to
of
play
still
for.
playing for the invite. Yeah, like I'm okay if you do it that way, but like I, the thing that's kind of stinks, right? Is like, all right, like we're gonna split the top 4. Everyone goes home and like 2 people battle it out, and I'm like, I won this 1K, and it's like,
Yeah,
well, you
that's
didn't do
different.
that.
Right.
Yeah,
And
the SCGs have turned into that where like half the people
But
leave and half the people play or whatever.
but the people who stay, like they're staying and they're playing.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
like
it's like
it's
other
not
people
win.
their
dropped.
fault.
It would be no
Right.
different than
Right.
if other people dropped. But like, if they didn't make it, if those people actually dropped, would other people who were just on the bubble like have played? I don't know.
You should
I think we're so
ask
starved for
Maddie that because everyone always draws to keep him out of top
you
8.
if you know what,
So
I'm gonna take the other approach. I've been very I'm gonna say this: if you had played that last round and you
it's
had beat
finally
your
coming
opponent,
out.
I would have gotten that
You
top
would
8
have been
dude.
top 8, and I would have been probably the number 1 seed, right? Because if you play,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
if
Yeah,
you
yeah. You should have
play,
played that. You should have played
would have
that.
played it.
But anyway,
You would have been.
So,
We might
so do
never have
we?
had this. You would have been a Magic Pro. You might have launched
Is
it.
it finally
yeah, could have launched
confirmed the
my pro
reason
career.
you drew was to keep Maddie out?
No, I
He just
didn't.
didn't want to play his
I
round.
just didn't want to play. I didn't know. Maddie told me afterwards. It wasn't
Yeah, he
like
didn't know. He
beforehand.
didn't know. He didn't know.
He
And
was like, "Oh, you didn't play? Like, if you won, I maybe get in." And I was
Did he
like, "Oh."
though?
I've been there. I
It's
think
all
either
good.
I did that to Coinco or Coinco did that to me in Magic like a long time ago.
Wait, what was the point you brought up? Because I wanted to say something. What were we just talking about?
We
Splitting.
were just saying like the person on the bubble might want to actually play.
Yeah. So, like, listen, do what you want in your life. What we need to have. We're so starved. This is what's we're so starved for competitive content because the pro whatever is going to happen hasn't happened yet. The PQs are coming and things will change. But like, there really is like a tier list. Like in I'll use like Counter Strike. Right. There's like majors, and then there's like or Pokemon. There's like regionals. I mean, just a 24 1K is a great event, and the people who did well should be happy. But like that's going to be a different tier than a 200 man galactic champion or whatever the heck it is. You know what I mean? And so like we're projecting like we want info, we want these things to matter, but like really like there's a tier list, and if you want to split your 24 man 1K, go nuts. But you just got to understand what that really means.
All right. Well, then I wasn't gonna make.
Did all
I didn't make.
24 players split?
No, but did you hear about
That
this?
would be
'Cause
wild.
yeah, this is Steve. This is exactly what I was going to bring up. In LA, they had a 3K and it had 24 players, and before the event, they all agreed to split.
3K? Oh,
That's nuts.
Maybe there's
So
more at
that's
that Atlanta
crazy.
one then.
that used to
It seems like
happen
they
a
both had
bunch. Going
24.
back to the Magic thing, like the 5Ks, like stores did right when the game started, like not declining, but like when there's just less people playing, right? Like Mike, when you and I played,
I mean,
it was like 2015, 2016. There was like just things were stacked, and then like people just started to not attend things as much.
Yeah.
And there were definitely events that you would go to that would be like 40 people for a 5K, and people would say that like we should all just split right now, and it was like, but it was a joke. It never actually happened.
Yeah, this they did. I
My
don't know if
knowledge.
we don't know if the store honored the 3K prize pool because the buy-in was 50 and it was only 24 players, so that does not equal $3,000. And they said they were going to split and get 125 each. I don't know if that happened, but that's ridiculous, and I wasn't going to dignify it with a slide.
why are
or
you even
coverage.
playing then? You're paying
I agree.
75 bucks.
Why play? Right.
Where do you
Or
tier
local
list?
games
Where do you tier list that event? Is that a locals? Like,
Yeah, it's a
is that-
local.
yeah, exactly.
I tier list that right under like our coffee table games.
Yeah,
with
that's like
with Justin's kids.
me and Steve
but that's like-
Winsoning is more
yeah.
competitive than that.
But that's the point I'm
Oh,
trying to make. Is
100.
like
That's an
there's
online
different
platform
level
that
of-
Probably
we
more
can't say the
expensive
name
too
of
by
it.
the end of the day.
All right, so one more 1K yesterday in Wisco. They did it at Misty Mountain. 41 players. This was streamed all day by Take the Initiative. The VOD is up. I will try and think to grab the link. Also, all the lists are up for this event. I don't know if it might have some gaps, but they do have a spreadsheet with all the lists. So I will link the stream and the lists. But the top 8 was Han 1 yellow versus Han 2 blue, Sabine green over Han 2 blue, Sabine green over Kira. 30 point, and then Han 2 blue over Cad red. And the Sabine green beating Kira, that was it was one of our subs, Picardi, on the Kira green, and I didn't watch too closely, but they were talking about that he had it and it kind of got thrown because that should have been a really good matchup for Kira green. I know he was pretty bummed about it, but it's a long day, and I think it's a tournament is all day, and you can't. It's just a grind.
He had a great run.
Yeah, he had a great run, and
You
you just
can't beat yourself
made a
up over
mistake.
mistakes,
And
yeah.
honestly, he's lucky to be able to have it on stream. If he wants to get better, he can look at it and learn from it, which is hard to do, but it's good.
And it's that pressure that Sabine puts on you too. There's not much
For
wiggle
sure.
room
You don't
to mess up.
Exactly. You don't really get to mess around.
That's such a great point. Like, your playtesting games are so different than a tournament games. Like, you're gonna feel the pressure. You're in a top 8. Like, Sabine can do that to you. Like, that's a perfect point of like, he didn't play perfectly and maybe he goofed, but like the people should point it out, right? The armchair analysts who are back home not feeling any pressure, but you also have to understand like what he was feeling in the moment and be like, okay, he goofed that, stuff happens, he can learn from it, but like that's where we're gonna leave it. We're gonna point it out.
I think
and then he had a great run and that's it.
everyone who's ever won anything is goofed. I've certainly goofed. Tom Brady tried to call 4 timeouts against the Bears. Like, there's these things that happen, but it's a great run to get there. I always say, like, when people talk about like MJ, LeBron, like, oh, LeBron is, what is he, like 4-6 in the finals, and like MJ's like 6-0 in the finals. But it's like, yeah, but like LeBron's got to 10 and MJ got to 6, and MJ didn't play for 6 years in his career. He like lost to Larry Bird in the first round a bunch and lost to the Pistons a bunch and like didn't get there. So if you get to there, then you lose. That you still got there. You still won to get there rather than losing earlier.
I'm still distraught. You're a LeBron over Jordan kind of guy.
He's the GOAT.
I never thought that would come out of your mouth.
And honestly, like the more top 8s, like as you get better at these events and you start top 8ing more, we've all gone through this process where like, oh, I made a bunch of top 8s, but I never got there. And then you start to like make a bunch of top 4s and you start to make a bunch of finals and then you get there. So it's progress.
That was like my Star Wars CCG career in a nutshell.
It's mostly everyone's career. Like you just incrementally get better as you improve and you take things more seriously and you just take the time to make your game tighter. So like you can watch all these games. The Han 2 over Sabine, it was a 3-game match. It was really good. It was really close. Definitely that third game is one to watch. I watched it last night. I don't want to spoil it for people who want to see it all. I mean, obviously know who won, but it was pretty exciting, game 3. And then so Late Night Gaming hosted the stream, but their stream died. And then Rebel Trader from Take the Initiative was casting from home, and he just picked up the stream on his end and did it on his channel, which was great. And he streamed the whole thing, the whole day, all 6 rounds or whatever, and 5 rounds, maybe 6 rounds, and then the top 8. Yeah, he was gonna bow out for the top 8, but I think he was just like having too much fun, and Loopy ended up getting on there to cast the top 8 with him.
Yeah. Casting is sick. Like, and props to the people who like set that up to be able to do that. Like, I think I want to see more of that. Like, I wish that we could have more of that. I would love to cast a 1K. Like, that sounds.
I mean,
dope.
there's the Great Stories 1K in 1 month. Did you guys sign up for that, by the way? Are you doing that?
I have a golf tournament.
No.
I have a charity.
What's
golf
the date
tournament
on it?
every year.
9/14.
I can probably do that.
Yeah, it's $50. It's a 1K.
I'll put it in my calendar now.
Yeah, we could stream it if we got a caster. Maybe we can do a home caster.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, see if Mister wants to do it.
Yeah, we'll.
Yeah, he may want to play. Here is Alex's Han 2 blue. He's got Ray and Poe.
I know. I was just about to say he's a Ray and Poe boy. And what is he? So he's no tech in the main. So that's 1 card. 3. I mean, I can't knock
Fang
it. This
Fighters
is a winning
main.
list. So yeah, Fang main. worried about, I'm assuming, your dark sabers and
Dark
stuff.
Saber.
Yeah, and I say this in my video, but like the cool thing about blue red Han and stuff is like it's so malleable. Like he wanted to hit that note of like my really big turn, 4 resource play. So he not over indexed, but he indexed more towards that. Yeah, I mean it's not what I'm playing, but I like it. I think it's got a lot of cool stuff. I'm trying to figure out what he cut that. Oh, he doesn't play make an opening. Yeah, no, but it's a good list.
Yeah, 3 Carabas. I like the 3 Carabas. That's a card I've been kind of impressed with playing the deck. Yeah, it's more 5-drops than I would want to run because I would want that option we talked about earlier to play our Yodas, our Green Squadron A-Wings, and our Battlefield Marines all in one turn.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, disabling Fang Fighter is interesting because you could play it for 2 and kill it.
Turn.
Just as a spell.
Just as a spell. And But, yeah, I mean, whatever. The deck is good, and it's got an insane top end.
Dawn boy. I think Conquer Dawn is like so hot, but that's just me.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's like the big. I guess if I was trying to figure out what I was cutting the 5-drops for, it would be the Conquer Dawn.
Yeah.
Only 2 pillage.
I like that he's on. Yeah, only 2 pillage, which is fine. Like I've had games where I've actually like lost to favorable matchups that I've beaten a bunch of times because I just get too many pillage, and I'm like, I need units. Like this is a unit deck, so I can see I can never see going down to 1. I know some people are doing that because I think the discard is so insane into a lot of the popular stuff, but I think 2 is completely reasonable, and it lets you be a curve boy more. 2 mace. I think mace is like super impressive in this deck, so I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, good deck. I mean, nothing. It's
anything.
Like
So
that.
I guess like if I'm thinking about how like cutting this into its own video going forward. So like this weekend we saw like still a lot of Kira, not as much Boba. Sabine,
not as much Boba. That last top 8 had 0 Boba that we just saw.
And like 2 green, like Sabine Green showing up in all these top 8s, 11 in Poland, only 1 converted, but certainly a lot fewer Boba Yellows, more HantoBlues, more Kiras. What's next weekend's meta? What are you playing next weekend?
That's a great point, especially to make this into a clip.
Well, I think one of the things that's happening is that Boba's getting pushed out more than we thought because of these like Han Blue mid-range Kira being like big players, where Sabine, again, it always has the ability to win because of the nature of the deck. Where like you're sitting down even against like a Boba Yellow, you're not just like conceding and saying like, oh man, I can't win this one. We saw our boy Yako from the Patreon and in the Discord like do really, really well. He went like 16-1 in games, and I think he played 2 Boba Yellows. Like 2-0 both of them.
I think it might have been the same guy, but yeah.
Even the 1K that you won, Mike, like your one loss in that whole tournament was to CJ on Sabine. Like it's always there, even into unfavorable matchups. It's so punishing. So like that's just like Sabine's sort of the backdrop, and then you've got these control decks pushing the Boba yellows out. So in terms of where the meta goes, I don't know, but like and Sabine can evolve too, which is interesting.
We talk about the top target vigilance play being such a blowout. Like you can bring the wolves back in the sideboard and like
Bright Hope.
Yeah.
Bright Hope blows that out often.
Yeah, just bounce it. So I mean there's evolutions there. I think you guys are right. I think Sabine's got some serious staying power. But if people are moving away from Sabine and trying to play this control game, Mike, I know you're getting pretty hot on a certain Emperor.
Oh.
He was, he had some success early in the meta. Like
I'm trying to make him work again.
Yeah. So
yeah, like go on top of all the controls and then have a plan, like feel comfortable against Sabine, whether it's like just infinite life gain some way, and then you play against any leader, like you play against a Luke, you play against a Kira, you play against a Han, like you're gonna have that turn where you steal their unit. And like Palpatine against the Han decks is great because all their units have damage.
Right, yeah, they basically can't. Right. They have to play a fair game. The only thing they can do unfairly is like pillage you, which like as Palp, you don't want to see, but really you're just ramping and hoping to draw 7 and 8 drops anyway. So
You get to draw, so it's
And you
like
get to
not as
draw,
bad
like you can just
'cause you
offset
stack your
it,
guys.
right? Because you just be one card up, and then if they pillage, they're one card down, and you're only one card down. So like, and they just use 4 resources. So I think like pillage isn't even that good against Pal.
Yeah.
yeah,
The blue
and
palp. There you go, Mikey.
no, talk about Blue Palp first.
So the blue palp that I played at Gen Con even had like at least one main deck palps return, which I mean you have access to that for the room, for the discard as well. So
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I love Palp's return for sure, and like I could definitely see playing it in the main deck, and I also think the daring raid point Justin made earlier. It's just like, are we gonna start seeing daring raids? Is red Palp the way to go? Because like now you have this daring raid, you're drawing the extra cards. It doesn't cost you that much to burn a card when it kills something. So it'll be interesting to see the way the meta evolves from these Hantu lists. But I could definitely see the way this goes is like, oh, this is the point I wanted to make earlier. But like the meta we saw across those 3 events is so much different than what we saw at Gen Con with like all like Idens and Palps. Like there weren't a lot of that. And in Gen Con, I felt like all I saw were Palp.
yeah.
Played 2 Palp all 3 days. So like, our Palp's going to come in to do this, and then the following weekend, is it a Sabine weekend? And then, like, what is it for the start of PQs? Is it a Sabine weekend, or is it a Bobby Yellow weekend, or is it a Control weekend? So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting
be
to see,
interesting.
but I think we might see some more Palps next weekend if there are any events on the weekend of the 24th.
And some people are cool just like throwing a matchup for an event, being like, okay, if the Sabines show up, you got me. But I think
for sure.
the people I'm worried about beating are going to be on
That's basically how we had to play Magic. It was like when I played Boggles, I was like, well, I hope I don't see Valakut today. If I see Valakut, I'm going to lose.
Yeah.
And then I'd see one, I would lose, and then win all the other ones.
I'm starting to get more okay with that kind of a thing because like I thought, yeah, that's good. I can't wait.
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. It's because
Is that
like,
exclusive to us?
No.
No. You just haven't looked at the spoilers. But I'll make this point really quick. Gen Con, I thought I was gonna beat up on yellow Bobas and like kind of do the thing that Wu did when I played Kira, and I played like all control decks, and it's like you can never predict. So sometimes throwing a matchup is fine. Like you just never know what you're gonna face.
All right, so we're already going
right,
for
next slide, baby.
47 minutes, which is a lot. I did put all these spoilers in here. We can go through them pretty quick, but Steve hasn't seen these, so we get
Some
to
people
explain
like
the
the
rules
long
to him. So we get a new keyword here, coordinate. Coordinate is when you have 3 or more units. So like if you have 3 or more units, you can use Ahsoka to attack, or like if you have 3 or more units, including her when she flips, she's a 5/6 when she flips, and that's permanent. So like it's
Any
even
type
on
of unit
defense.
doesn't have to be same color or anything like that.
Any unit. If you control 3 or more units, it activates coordinate. That's one of the new keywords of this set. So this is one of the starter cards. It's kind of bland. Like her, you're swarming. Steve, you haven't seen, but like there's token units now. We'll see in a second. And like, so, this is clone leader Ahsoka Tano, like General Ahsoka. And she wants you to have a bunch of units out, and she'll let you attack for +1/+0 with them. And then she comes out stronger when you have more units out. So that's the long and short of coordinate. Do you guys have any hot takes on Ahsoka? I think she's like pretty mid.
Yeah, she's not going to be played much, but I think coordinate is cool. Like we're seeing, Justin to talk about like people want to go wide. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity to do that. I like the interplay between, and we'll see it like how the the villain do it versus the hero.
I'm sure she'll get played a lot at the pre-releases.
She'll be fun to be like she will be fun at pre-release, and she'll be fun at playing your starter. And
it's going to be great against coordinate bombing run. Let's go. Coming back, baby.
All right, and then we've
got to make some money off the 200 I bought offline last week.
Then we've got Grievous. Grievous gives a droid Sentinel for the phase, and it's a droid, so it can be any droid, which is cool. You can like you can do a deep dive into like what all the droids are, and he's an official. and a Separatist,
Okay.
which is a new. We're getting a new. Wait, is Dooku a Separatist? He
Dooku's
might-
a Separatist,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
Yeah, so not new, but more. And then on attack, you give a droid +1/+0 and Sentinel for the phase. So as he attacks, he can kind of protect himself. Ideally,
chunk
you're giving it
blockers.
to something either chunky or a battle droid, so they have to attack into a 1/1.
This seems really good.
This is definitely much better than
You-
Ahsoka, that's for sure.
It's Dark Side Chewie, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the only thing I don't like about him is so Chewie allows you to do it all in one action, right?
Yeah.
Like you play the unit from your hand, comes into play with Sentinel. This you in theory have to play the unit, and then they're gonna have
Or
the
have it
ability to
out.
still attack your base,
Mhm.
and then you have to do it. So
Right.
it's almost like you have to use it on a pre-existing unit.
Right, but I think the idea there is that like if you're doing this, you're probably spamming battle droids.
Mm-hmm.
And there's gonna
And
be
you're
things
just
that
using
make
them as like
tokens
chump
and stuff.
blockers.
Yeah, I'll skip a slide, but like the whole theme around the Separatists for this set is that they just spam out battle droids. Battle droids are 0-cost 1/1s.
Bombing run. Bombing
and
run.
and like so they
Bombing,
have
baby.
exploit. This is like the Separatist mechanic, exploit. While playing this card, defeat up to 2 of those units. This card costs 2 less for each card defeated that way. So you spam out these battle
Oh,
droids,
that's cool.
and then
You
you
sack
play the
them.
Hellfire tank for 4. Just by sacking 2 battle droids. So you've got a 7/6 for 4 mana, and like
Ooh.
obviously, if it goes the way the other mechanics that they've introduced go, we'll have like 1 or 2 really good exploit cards, and everything else will be kind of like mid.
Yeah.
But
Asajj could be free. She's exploit 2 and she costs 4.
oh, does she?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So you can play
she's gonna
Asajj
be
for free.
good,
So like
yeah.
that, yeah. There's one, for sure. That's cool. And then they have these guys who like battle droid escort. It's when played and when defeated, create a battle droid token. So like the idea is you're spamming these guys out so that when you have Grievous, you should have like the idea is you would have droids out.
Multiple, yeah.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah,
I
he could be
agree.
good.
There's definitely something lacking.
There's something there.
Escort
I think
would
there's
be
something there
the
though.
number.
His stats are also good, like just 4/8. Like
4
pretty
8
solid.
yeah.
Yeah, 4/8 for 6,
Yeah.
solid. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
8.
mean, he's
We've
definitely
seen
the
a booty
be-
be
yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Right.
I love a good booty.
And then, interested to get your take on these, Justin, as like red-green player, Captain Rexx. Well, I guess Rexx isn't going into any aggro deck, but he's a 4/4 that comes with 2 clone tokens, so he's like a 6/6 for 6. Jesse, though, a 3 mana 4/4 with raid 1, so he attacks for 5, and when he gets played, he gives your opponent 2 battle droids.
I don't know. Jesse seems pretty good. I mean, I think with actions, like just getting like a 5/4 out. I mean, obviously you side him out against when you're playing against Grievous. You
Yeah,
don't
if
do
you're
the work
playing
for
against
them.
exploit, you're not super happy to
But like
give them free
the-
Asajjs.
the way the game should work is like if you play him and they have these battle droids, you'll always have the initiative for those battle droids to ever do anything. So you'll have a
Just
5/4.
yeah, number of
So
actions.
like that to me seems really, really strong. And it's not like there's blocking in this game,
Right.
So like,
Mhm.
well, I guess there is blocking. Again, when Grievous would sort of does a lot of blocking, but yeah, I think he's really good. Obviously, he's in a crazy, curved spot. He won't. Interestingly enough, he wouldn't go into the Han decks, right?
Yeah.
Just like a 4/2.
Yeah,
The battle droids just kill him.
Right, exactly.
But like putting him into Sabine and then you're attacking for 5 with him and you have Sabine. You can also like ECL this guy. Although he's probably not that great to ECL actually because you don't really want damage on him because his stats.
It's cool
are good.
too because along the lines of what you said, I feel like there's so many times when I've played against Sabine with a deck and they don't get the opportunity to use her, the leader
Mhm.
text, because they're trying to keep initiative. And if you're just giving them tokens, you're always going to be able to get in.
Yeah, you can get that
thing.
in too, right? Yeah, I think you're going to see him played. I mean, he's just the stats alone are just really strong.
Yeah. The
That's
other
a really
From a
interesting
flavor
point.
standpoint,
Go
I
ahead.
was just to say, from a flavor standpoint, I like that they made the troopers 2/2s and the droids just 1/1s.
Yeah.
I can
kinda
see
cool.
like a singleton Rexx in the sideboard too of like grindy games. Of kind of that point of like playing multiple units where you've got this guy and then you could play like red 3s in your deck and and stuff like that to Anthem.
And
like,
yeah,
Rogue,
and there might be other
right?
anthems. There might be clone anthems, you know. So like, who's to say? This is very early on in the
It'd
set.
be great in that red green Han.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Like you get 3 units out on 5.
Yep.
That's
Yeah, and then like
that's
with
pretty
red 3 or anything else that buffs is just pretty insane.
like heroic sacrifice is gonna be great with all these tokens to like attack
Mhm.
for 3 and just draw a card.
Yeah, so really early,
yeah.
and I try not to get too embroiled in
Right.
spoilers because it's just not competitive, but it is interesting. The other interesting
Limited's
thing to
gonna be
know,
fun.
yeah, I mean, give me a limited event, please, FFG. The the set is only going to have 2 tokens, and I don't know if this is for every set going forward,
wow.
but because these are the 2 tokens for the set, there's not a single shielded, and there's not a single experience in the whole set.
Ooh,
Yeah,
No
That's
experience
wild.
tokens and no shields in the set,
Wow.
that's
I'll
wild.
which
say
is
this.
crazy considering Battle Droid stuff has shields, like Droidicus and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh yeah. I think they're doing a good job with the spoiler release because, like, we were just talking the other day how it feels like we're kind of in this lull phase, even though Set 2 just came out and there's nothing really great right now, and I didn't even realize spoilers. Like, I think FFG is doing a good job along those lines, and
Yeah.
I'm not one to always give credit when.
Well, we were at
Still.
Gen Con when they did this, so like we were playing and doing stuff,
Yeah,
and
we
they
were
were
pretty
having
busy.
these panels and everything, so we weren't like on the internet that weekend as much.
Yeah.
Only thing
Like
I want to say about
who is
spoilers
Jesse?
I'm not
you're
sure. He's definitely someone from Clone
let
Wars.
us know in the comments who Jesse is.
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
And how dumb we are for not knowing that.
Is he one of the guys that
See, like
is with
betray
Rexx in
them
the
and like
end?
He's a hard fighting patriot, guys.
Yeah, I don't want to read this thing, but I think he is one of the ones from the maybe the storyline where they figure out that the Order 66 is like in their brains.
Got it.
Dang.
Oh no, he's talking to Crosshair and stuff. I don't know. We'll read. He's in Siege of Mandalore too, so I'm sure
Someone
he's
let us know. It's all good.
yeah. All right.
The only thing I was gonna say about spoilers is I love that they're starting now, but like we need the full list a little sooner, just a little bit.
Yeah,
sooner.
maybe. And I also think like
Right.
there's only a
I'm not
lull
coming.
because we're kind of waiting for the PQs and stuff to
PQ
start.
stuff.
PQs.
Yeah, I think
For
once
sure.
events start,
Once that
we'll be pretty
happens, it'll
hyped.
really jumpstart.
A couple more cards that
Ooh.
we can touch on. There's Anakin Skywalker. He's a 5-drop 6/6. We're seeing more 5-cost 6/6. He's a Force Jedi Republic, and he has a coordinate on attack draw card. We see the General's Blade, a green lightsaber that goes on when it's on Jedi. It lets you play units for cheaper, which seems pretty insane.
Yeah, that thing looks.
And
wild.
then Coruscant Guard's cool. He's just like a generic 3/2, but if you have coordinate, you could ambush him in to like kill a sentinel or something,
yeah, that's
which I like.
I like Anakin in Han. No synergy in terms
6/4
of
for 4.
thematics, but
Yeah, if you're
Yeah,
if you're
It goes
spamming
well with
things out,
Ahsoka.
spamming and
Like
you
a
get the
green
draw
Han,
card.
spammy green Han.
Yeah, exactly.
anything that draws a card, man, is people are going to
Just
try and make
always
it work.
look at it. Yep.
I'm still trying to make Cassian decks, bro. Like,
But
Right.
yeah, but the General's Blade to like if you can attack and play things, you could attack with it that turn. You could play it, attack with it, and then play like another like unit, like a 4-drop or something for cheaper, and sort of like go wide, and then the following turn like potentially drop a bomb, which is cool. I
that could be
assume
like
we're
a
going to
zoo
see
deck.
some even bigger Jedi than
You could
Anakin.
do is Charity Jedi?
No.
No, just Force.
Ugh.
So that's the
just
thing
Force.
is like, and somebody posted on our Discord like who the Jedi are right now, but it's
Yeah, but we're getting the
yeah.
the
we'll get
Republic
more.
set.
I'm just
yeah.
saying like like Luke leader isn't right.
Okun coming out.
Yeah,
That's right. Let's go.
Luke is not a Jedi. Wow.
not the. I think not,
Not
the
the leader. What leaders are Jedi? Do we know any of them?
Emperor probably.
No, he wouldn't be a Jedi.
No.
He's a Sith.
Sith.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was thinking.
Yeah, just a
Dark
Force
Jedi.
rebel.
That's
Or
not a
have
thing.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
so
it's
that definitely changes. it.
Cloud City Luke.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have to put it on
Keywords
your-
matter. We're gonna start paying more attention.
Yep.
All right, we are at 1,060 paid members, forced to pay. and they're in here. But we have 5 questions today because they were all good.
Oh wow, great!
In
This is my,
general,
this is my favorite section of our
Yeah.
podcast.
yeah, we get some good
Questions are
ones
good.
this week. So shout out to Mark. In general, how many turns ahead will you aim to hold cards in your hand to play for? Is there such a thing as planning too far ahead, given card draws will happen each turn, and the need to have the best plays for the turn you're in? And where is that line, or how do you find it? I know I just did the whole. We're creating some living docs for our most played decks in our team, and I talked a lot about like what cards I'm resource decisions in the yellow boba when I was making that document, and like I will often resource even like Fet's Fire Spray and 5-drops in the Boba Yellow because I don't want to hold them. I want to make sure that my turns are explosive as possible throughout the
Yeah.
game.
See,
Yeah,
I
I
had
think-
the complete opposite. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You go.
I was gonna say I had the complete opposite experience in the Gen Con tournament because I played so many Emperor decks and control decks. Like I was always saving my Fell of the Dragons, and my takedowns for like 4 or 5 turns in advance, and it actually ended up paying off. Like there was one game where I fought through 2. Is it Relentless? The one that you have to play 2 things for?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like I was saving force throws in that matchup just to burn against whatever the counter to get out of the way type
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So and I know we were playing different decks, but I was finding with that blue ray that I was playing that I was saving removal for a lot of turns in advance, and that's actually how I ended up decking so many decks in that tournament, and not necessarily by playing Vigilance and trying to like play a mill deck, but just the fact that they would run out of answers. They'd run out of
They
threats.
run out of threats because you held
Would you
your
not
stuff.
play cards to just hold cards in hand? Like, would you take turns off of playing?
Well, in some terms, but this is also where my favorite card was coming into play, which I know you hate, was like I would just every time I always been resource Sugi. And there were so many games where my turn would be playing Sugi out of my resource because I was holding my removal for the later rounds, the bigger
Smuggle
bombs.
in those matchups is so
Yeah,
good.
so huge.
And I think like we're seeing it's certainly matchup dependent when you have to hold a Fell the Dragon because you're facing
That's
a Great
what I was
Dragon,
gonna
which is
say.
like really important. I know that's something when I played Kira at Gen Con I had to be like really conscious of because I have the opposite approach with Boba Yellow where I'm like just trying to dump my hand and go hellbent pretty much as soon as Boba flips or the turn after, having to plan long term. So I think it's like deck dependent for what you're playing and like what your opponent's playing. But what do you guys think, Justin?
That's
and Maddie?
exactly what I was gonna say. It's like it really it depends on your matchup and it depends on your deck. And like you kind of have to like do a little mental simulator in your head of like, how is this game gonna go? Like, this guy plays Pose or this guy plays like Avengers. Okay, I need my Fell the Dragons. Like you just kind of have to play it that way versus like if you hold on to like if you need to be curving out in that matchup and you save your 7-drop and you just die like it didn't really do anything for you.
Yeah, I like to think pretty far ahead. And I think one of the things, Sabine's a little different because you basically have to be aggressive. Um, but one thing that comes up pretty often is like pumps in your opening hand, like to resource them because they just don't do enough early, and you're hoping to like you have to understand what's sort of on the top of your deck, like on the aggregate, like something's probably going to pop up. And then one thing that also happens is just understanding like the curve of your own deck. Like there's been many games where I've resourced a 3-drop on the first turn to have no threes. Just because I know that I'm probably gonna draw one if I've got like Poe, K2, and like 4 cards I believe in, and I don't want to resource it in that specific matchup, I'll like play a 2-drop and then have the opportunity to potentially whiff. Like if I was to draw like Wrecker and Poe right there, that's like pretty bad, and I'd have to play 4 cards or something
Yeah,
like
I've
that.
definitely had
But
games like that with Sabine. It's like I'll
and
draw
then
this 2-drop.
yeah, and then you end up drawing like um you're that's one of the reasons I think R2 is just so incredibly powerful is because he kind of adds math in your favor there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think to the first question, I certainly like plan ahead. It's just that at times I'll play to my own variance,
Mm-hmm.
based upon like what I'm not going to play in that game. Sort of understand I'm going to draw like the duplication there.
Yeah, and your point makes me think of like why like I challenge people to think more about like what's good and what's bad in their matchup for sideboarding instead of just like having a guide because like the cards, you need to know in every game what cards you don't want to play and which cards you're happy to resource. So like think about that and use that to sort of guide your decisions.
100%. And I think I don't really ever use sideboard guides. I never really use them in Magic. I think it's important to know like what you like in a matchup and what you don't like, but the way that your opponent plays, impacts that so
Exactly.
much. And like, are they
And the
attacking
way
your
your
unit?
opponent
Are they
sideboards.
right? Like, there's so many variables, and like
Mhm.
also just like throwing a wrench into the plan of what they think you're gonna do, and like swerving off of it, and like being more aggressive when they think you're going more controlling. Like it's just you can't just have it so static.
Yep.
Mhm.
I've definitely made that mistake
All
by
right.
sticking to strict sideboard guides type stuff.
Preparing for a planetary qualifier / big event. I signed up to play a PQ in October. I play 2 to 3 times a month at my weekly, but otherwise don't have a group of friends to play test with. I can try getting reps with the big decks, but I know this can also change and my time is limited. How would you recommend someone with limited time prepare for a big event?
I think, well, number one, if you're in our Discord, you can look at your regional chat and also some of the other channels and try to like create your own little playtest group or like use our deck forums to kind of talk about. And so that's kind of the point that I would look into is like finding other resources to like simulate play. So like one thing you could do is go watch those 1Ks and like pause at certain moments and kind of like
Mm.
quiz yourself on what you do if you have the hand. If you can like see the hand or even just like kind of like make this mental quiz of like, all right, what would be good here, stuff like that. So like I would say like finding ways to simulate the game through like watching and then if you can like use these community hubs to kind of create your own groups where you talk through things.
I agree. I think coverage is huge to be able to watch games, look at lists, kind of just immerse yourself in the game without necessarily playing. Playing is going to be king. There's no substitute for it, and shuffling, and even playing like I think playing real life games is like such, rather than like a webcam, but like just playing as much as you can. Um, but real life happens. You can't play as much as sometimes it's just you can't get the time. And finding a video doesn't have to be us, but like finding like a tournament or finding like content, and looking at deck lists, and also understanding. Here's a big one that I would say is like we talked about this earlier, but understanding the shifts. Like, don't lock into a deck now for October and be like, I'm gonna practice. You can, like, you can log into like, listen, I'm really thinking I'm gonna play Sabine. I really like Boba Yellow, but understand what the meta is doing behind that, and be like, okay, I'm playing Boba Yellow, but now I need to beat like these new blue Han decks or these green Han decks, or I need to play the bombing run on my sideboard because I'm understanding the meta, and you kind of feel confident when you sit down at a table and you're going to see one of two things. You're going to see a deck that you expected, which is probably a top deck, or you're going to see a deck that like probably is off the wall that, because you're playing a really solid deck, you're probably just going to smash. Like a Fennec Shan deck or something like that. And you can sit down feeling really confident you're going to beat that.
Yeah, it definitely behooves you to be prepared on more than one deck.
Yeah, but like I guess my point is like you sit down in October, this guy in NDYSE 10 sits down in October. He's hasn't played that many games, but he's got a list that he's comfortable with because he's paid attention to the way the meta is swinging, and then he sits down round one, or they sit down round one, and plays against Bobby Yell, and he's like, okay, cool. Like I'm ready to
I'm
rock this
comfortable.
out. I
Yeah.
understand how this game's gonna play out. Or I'm playing against Sabine, like I've got my vigilance top target plan ready to roll. And even if I lose game one, I'm not like dented. I kind of know I'm gonna lose game one because I understand the meta, and I've got this really solid plan that I know I'm gonna win games 2 and 3.
Yeah. Love it.
One
Yeah.
quick point.
Sure.
You go,
No,
you
I
go.
see. The only thing I was going to add is that, being in, you find a community that's competitive based. Like, I think, obviously this person's in our Discord. Like, we're providing lists, we're providing testing, and then like you've got 1,000 other people in there who are also doing the same within their groups. And just like you do have this shortcut, like these sites like ours and others are built to like give you the answers because you don't have the time to practice, or at least some
If you can,
answers.
yeah, if you can record your own games too, like at your local on those times, and then watch back that tape, that's even better. Like
Yeah.
that's another good one. Just wanted to point that out.
All right, now that we've had some set 2 tournaments, if you could change or ban any card to make the game better, what would you do? Examples: ban resupply, change leader boba to 6, blah, blah, blah. This is TSKI8825. I don't like these questions. Like, I don't care about this stuff, but I didn't know if you guys did. And I thought it would be a good opportunity because I get this question a lot. Like, what would you change? What would you ban? That's not how I think about the game at all. Like, I just play the game. If I wanted to make my own game, I'd make my own game or I'd change the rules. But I don't see anything problematic to the point where like we even need to think about bans.
No, I think I mentioned on a
People.
previous pod like restock, but the restock like mirrors haven't popped up much in set 2. Control's sort of figuring things out in other ways. If every game was going to like mill restock mirrors, that's the one card that I was sort of looking at.
Yeah.
But I agree with Mike. Play the game as it is. Ramp cards are fine. Boba is what he is. I'd say like the leaders are certainly like there's some leaders that are stronger than others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if there was some way to sort of restructure that in retrospect of like getting some leaders that see less play. Like an IG88 is just never going to be played competitively. And
Yeah.
having more of that opportunity, and maybe like there's, you think about like the old Decipher game, like they came out with helpers for QMC and Hoth like in like an episode 1 expansion set because those decks were just not as strong.
Right.
So maybe we'll see like an IG88, like an actual IG88 helper, like the same way we see like Mace is in set 1, but there's not that many episode 1 cards in set 1. There's a couple cards like that. It'd be great to see like an IG88 helper to like sort of retroactively change things to be more powerful. But I don't think there's anything right now where I'm like, oh man, ban Overwhelming Barrage because it's too good.
Honestly, he could get better with the battle droid thing, like going wide.
Yeah.
But I think I yada yada over the important part is that this person wanted to shout out is like add a clause on Han 1 to make it like Lando leader only to destroy your own resources. Like, do you think the Han DJ thing is a problem? Because I've heard other content creators say like they think it's like it's the best thing in the game and it's super broken. And it's obviously good, but I don't know.
No,
I was playing Kira and had my resources like stolen and blown up, and I was like, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I've never cared
Cool,
about
3-5.
Yeah.
I think the best demonstration that there's not a problem or that's not broken is whenever we do these meta recaps, it feels like we're always talking about a different deck.
Yeah.
And there's different, like, while Boba is always around and Sabine's always around, but like this week it was all like Han's in the top decks. Before it was the other Han, Han 1.0. And like, I feel like every time we do meta recaps, we're always focusing on a different deck or like being like, oh, I'm surprised that many of those showed up. Like the fact that that's constantly changing and evolving is probably a good sign that nothing really is wrong. I mean, on a personal level, I'd love to ban a few of you. So if I ever go to a 1K or a local in Massachusetts, I can actually win something. But that's
all you
on a
have to
whole
do
other
is
level.
play a little bit. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like there was, I think a Han Yellow top forward, the Wisco 1K. But other than that, we didn't see a lot of Han 1 this weekend. So maybe some people were right to not be so high on that deck. I don't know.
Can I just say one quick thing? I know it's going long, but I want to talk to you. I like to talk about this stuff. I think that I agree, no bannings, but like along the lines of the seeing more leaders, I feel like 6 deployed leaders are kind of like inherently weak, like based off of the stats that come out. Like Han 1 is probably the most prevalent 6 drop leader that I can think of, and that's because he can cheat himself on 5. We're really seeing like 4 and 5 drop leaders or like 8 drop leaders that have like superpower. I think that from a balance perspective, I think 6 is in a tough spot, and I want to keep an eye on that. Like Cad Bane's not getting played, Mando unit's not getting played, stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. 6 cost leaders have been kind of mopey.
Yeah.
All right, long one. But the long and short of this is is there a best way to cut your opponent's deck? Do you cut it? Do you shuffle it? Is there a difference? What do you do here? How do you guys do it? I know like at a casual event, I just cut. Or like if it's a local, I pretty much just knock the top and don't even cut. But if it was a real event, like when I played Destiny and I went to big events, I shuffled. And when I played Magic, I shuffled.
Shuffle for sure. So I mean, I agree, Mike. At like the very most casual event, right? Your local game store, Tap every cut, tap. Anything competitive, shuffle. It can be your like teammate. It can be the guy that like everyone's like, oh yeah, this person is the nicest guy in the community. Always shuffle. Always shuffle. Shout out to
I
Aaron
always
Nelson.
cut, but I'm just lazy.
Yeah, I should do a
You
video
do
on
make a good point.
how you should shuffle your opponent's deck. Actually, that should be. I will do that before the PQ season.
How do you
And I do.
unmana these?
I'll tell you one thing.
What
Just
pile
just
shuffles that?
just as sort of a point. Like shuffle. Don't look at their deck as you're
Yeah.
shuffling. Like head away. Like turn to the left with your shuffling on the right. Mike's going to demo it right
I already
there.
got him. I already got him beat.
Yeah, exactly. Look at that. Sort of hot. Look at the ceiling to the left side.
This
Make
is how
sure
you
that
should
they're
shuffle
not.
your own deck too, so your
Oh my
opponent
god,
has
I'd
no
drop
question.
cards if I did that.
And actually,
Yeah.
Maddie, one correction there is you should be looking at your opponent when they're
Oh, yeah.
handling your deck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And sort of
Watch
at the side, like doing like the thing.
Yeah.
And people have. There's a whole bunch of videos about people cheating online, and yeah, I just shuffle. There's nothing wrong with shuffling.
Side
You have a
swipes.
pile shuffle to also count in your opponent's deck?
Yeah, I used to do that in Magic. There
Yeah.
was no
People moved away from that.
Yeah, I guess we could do that. The thing about Yeah, I guess you would want to know how many cards are in your opponent's deck. They might, if you're playing a
I
control
definitely want to know
matchup.
if they're playing 51.
Yeah, well, the cool thing about this game is like you can you could add your whole sideboard and just play 60 for game 2, I think, right? You don't have to have the.
Oh, that's wild.
I'm pretty sure that's how you can do it. I have to double check. I
Yeah,
haven't thought
I'm
about that in a
pretty
while.
sure.
But like if I was playing control and I might mill them, did they board in more?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, that's how we would do it, and I'll probably do a video on how to shuffle your opponent's deck. All right, last one. Chris Tott. At my locals, I observed some players playing every game to completion, sometimes resulting in double game losses, but in tournament coverage, games will often end earlier when it's clear who will win. This reminded me of resigning in chess. I was curious, what are the standards of expectations of that in SWU?
I don't think there's any expectations, but I
Yeah.
think like it's smart in like a game, like if you're in a control mirror and you're like super lost in game 2 and you won game 1, like I think that's an acceptable time. Or I'm not as in favor of scooping game 1, but if it's super lost and you're worried about time, I think those are reasonable things. And then if you've completely lost the game, that's just like a personal thing. Like if you really truly 100% know there's no way you can come back in a game, then I think there's no problem scooping, but you need to like very much know it.
Yeah, I don't want to throw away like a point and a half, 1.5% to win. But if I know that's astronomically low, I'm just fine conceding and moving on to the next game. Even if it's game 3, like if I can't win game 3 and it's lost, like it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not too often your opponent's gonna like forget to attack. It's not
Right.
like when you play Magic Arena and the person might like disconnect or accidentally click through their turn. We don't have that option. Like the person's
A good
gonna attack.
a good mental exercise sometimes is like draw any card in your deck and then draw any other card in your deck and do that for like 3 turns in a row. And if you still can't win, and if they draw 0 cards and you still can't win, just pack it up.
Yeah.
Think
And-
about what like along those lines. Think about what your outs are. If you have them, great. If not, like you said, just pick them up, move on to the next game. At least that's my theory.
At Gen Con in the play-in match game 1, I scooped game 1 to Mike from Unplayable because I just like literally I was like, okay, if I draw Vigilance here, I can stall him out, but then I can't advance and he's gonna beat me. And I did it, and I stalled out the first turn, and then I drew another one the next turn, and I just conceded. I was like, this is just
What am I
he's just
doing?
gonna kill me in 2 turns. Yeah, exactly. And then I already mentioned it, but there was a game where I should have scooped earlier, and ended up going to time because I mulliganed into like a terrible situation, and I passed like for the first 5 or 6 turns. Like that's one where I should have identified sooner. Like I was gonna run up against time, and I won game 1, and I probably should have scooped it up. But that's more strategic than like the expectations.
Cool. Well, that's all we got for today. Obviously talked about a lot. You guys have anything else you want to shout out before we sign off?
No, excited for this season to start in the fall. We're getting closer and closer to the planetary qualifiers. It'll be exciting as we get ready to prep it, to prep for them. They see like the deck list coming in. It's going to be exciting fall for SWU.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited
Only
for like
only
the
thing I'd like to close on is say, just a reminder, we are doing the giveaway for the mat. Sign up if you're not already signed up, sign up. I mean, at worst case, you get a $5 raffle ticket for a pretty sweet play mat, and maybe you find something in the Discord that you like over the next month, and
Yeah,
you
you
do
try it
find
out.
some additional value there.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, thanks for checking us out, and we'll see you in 2 weeks with the next episode.
Booyah.
GG's.
Later, boys.